I completed an entire Golden Age run. Let's take a look at that run and talk about why I collected it and what its importance is. Up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hey there, comic book community. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. Before we get started, you can follow us over on Instagram at Bronzeville_comics. Same thing on Whatnot, Bronzeville_comics. We do sales pretty much every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow night, Monday, August 29th at 10 p.m., we're going to be doing a big Marvel Silver and Bronze Age sale, some silver caps, some early silver Hulks, in the 100s, not the 1 through 6s. And we got some really good key bronze X-Men books and some other keys, run fillers. Check out the store. Check out the posting. There's a little video to accompany it, and I'll have a longer video on Instagram to preview the show as well. You can follow us on Whatnot, bookmark the show, and if you go into the show, you'll get the store will list out all the books that are going to be available. Also, if you use the link in the description to sign up for Whatnot, if you're not already on there, you'll get $10 off your first purchase just by using that link. Also, you can check out our eBay store description, link in the description below. So at Terrificon, I picked up a book I had been hunting for the better part of a year. It was one of my collecting goals for 2022. Checked it off. It completed a run that I've been working on for over 20 years. Let's go back in time to like 6-year-old me, right? One of the first comics I ever picked up. And that's why I saw this t-shirt at New York Comic Con a couple of years ago. They didn't have it in my size, so I picked one up later. Justice League 102. This is the third part of a 3-part Justice League Justice Society crossover that began in issue 100, an anniversary issue, and went through issue 102. And in that annual Justice League Justice Society crossover, the heroes team up to go back in time to different periods in time to rescue the 7 Soldiers of Victory, who were Golden Age DC heroes that had kind of been time forgotten, because they needed their help defeating the Nebula Man who had a hand holding the world, and it was a whole thing. But I was amazed by that comic book, by the sheer number of characters that were in it, because what they did was they had 7 chapters, really the build-up in issue 100 in the first chapter, 3 more chapters in issue 101, and then 3 more in issue 102. And each of the chapters, 3 members from the combined Justice League Justice Society went back into different periods of time to rescue 1 member of the 7 Soldiers of Victory. And then there were 3 Justice Society members who were on a search for the unknown soldier. And we'll talk about that a little bit. So that piqued my interest, and it took me several years because at that time in 1972, there was really nowhere to get back issues. I had to wait probably 7 or 8 years until I was able to go to a comic book convention and find issues 100 and 101 and see how the story had begun. So I was always really interested in those characters. I collected Justice League all the way through, big fan of Justice League. Always enjoyed the annual Justice Society crossovers, but the 7 Soldiers of Victory held a special place in my heart because of their appearance here. And as I got older and realized the history of the Golden Age of comics, I realized that that was something I could collect. Now, the first team in comic book history, the first team up of characters from different features was the Justice Society of America in All-Star Comics number 3. And that was in 1940. And then about a year and a half later, at the end of 1941, DC decided to try that formula again. And they put together really 8 characters, not 7. The 7 Soldiers of Victory, but we'll get to that. 8 characters from 5 different features in 5 different titles, because most of the books back then were anthology titles. Superman appeared in Action Comics along with other characters like Zatara and eventually Congo Bill and Vigilante. Batman appeared in Detective Comics with other characters like Slam Bradley, and Flash Comics had the Flash and Hawkman, Johnny Thunder, the Whip, etc. You had All American Comics, Adventure Comics, More Fun Comics. So what DC did was they put 5 different features into this book. So issue number 1 came out in the winter of 1941. And you can see at the top, it had 5 favorite features. And the 5 features were Green Arrow, who was in More Fun Comics, along with his sidekick, Speedy. So Speedy made the cover. This is the first cover appearance of Green Arrow. And really, until, I think, probably Justice League of America, I think all of his cover appearances were in these 14 issues. I don't think he had any cover appearances, much like Aquaman, in the Golden Age. Another feature was here, the Crimson Avenger from Detective Comics, Vigilante from Action Comics, The Shining Knight from Adventure Comics, and then DC had just launched a new anthology title, Star Spangled Comics, featuring the Star Spangled Kid and his sidekick Stripesy. Now, if you're at all familiar with the Stargirl TV series, well, Joel McCrea plays as a Star Spangled Kid, all grown up as Starman, and Patrick Wilson plays Pat Dugan, Stripesy, who's the stepfather of Courtney Whitmore, Stargirl. But that is like 50 some odd years after this. So those 5 features, and you can see the features listed at the bottom: Star Spangled Kid, Crimson Avenger, Green Arrow, Vigilante, and Shining Knight. So this book, it does have some, I guess, rust at the staples, but all of these books are complete with covers attached. So these are all in, at least good condition. I picked this one up probably about 20 years ago. In the late 90s, early 2000s, I started to pursue leading comics on eBay. I did have to sell a couple of the issues to make mortgage payments back in my younger days. But I did manage to hold on to number 1, which is the most valuable issue in the series. And so those are the 5 features, plus the 2 sidekicks, Speedy and the Star Spangled Kid sidekick Stripesy. That was kind of a turn where the kid was the main hero and the adult was the sidekick. Those make up the 7 Soldiers of Victory. But the Crimson Avenger, here, he had a sidekick, Wing. Now, the Crimson Avenger originally had like a cape and a fedora. He was very much inspired by the Green Hornet. And his valet, Wing, was much like Green Hornet's Kato. He was Asian, and unfortunately, a product of the time, he was very caricatured. And he was the unofficial 8th Soldier of Victory. They were also known as Law's Legionnaires, but he was kind of swept to the back. In part, it was probably racism, but also Wing did not get a costume. He wasn't really a costumed superhero until pretty much the time that the first issue of Leading Comics came out. So they probably didn't consider him a superhero. Now, I picked up last year, issue number 2 with the Black Star. This particular story I read as a kid because it was reprinted in Justice League of America 112, I believe, and pretty much with the same picture as part of the cover of JLA 112. So this book is, there's staple stress there definitely, but look at the white is pretty nice. The colors are pretty nice on that book. So this I picked up. Somebody had shown it in an Elite Comics 11 sale, and I missed the sale, but then subsequently I saw the picture of this book, and I reached out to the seller. They hadn't sold it at the sale, so we came to a deal. Was really happy to get that because after number 1, 2 is the most difficult issue to land. This one I've had for a very long time. Issue number 3 with the original Doctor Doom is who they go up against. That's kind of funny there. So that's issue number 3 of Leading Comics. Now, issue number 4, I picked up, I believe, from Heritage last year in a 3.5 off white to white. And it's interesting. That's really interesting. I just noticing this. If I compare this to issue number 1, both of them have that S. Is that an S on the slab as well? It looks like almost the same, similar drawings next to the C in comics on both covers. That's curious. But there, and then, with a slab, you can look at the back cover as well. So, not able to read the story, but all these stories were reprinted in DC Archives. Number 5, and I did pick this up from Heritage, and this is a beautiful 7.5 of Leading number 5. It is a little miscut there, miswrapped, but 7.5 off white to white. And this one, Vigilante has the whole crew there. Stripesy made the cover, and this one, he had made the cover previously, right? Yeah, he was on the cover of, all 2, 3, and 4. Is he? Yep. They like the yellow. That's a pretty book. That is a very pretty book. Very happy to have that. So those 2 I have as slabs. Another yellow cover in number 6. Does have some significant kind of dust shadow on the right edge there. But and in this one, you can see, and he is rather caricatured, there is Wing making an appearance. I guess that is his first cover appearance. Now, issue number 7. I believe this is restored professionally. Again, I got this over 20 years ago. And really, at the time, CGC was in its infancy, if they even existed when I bought this. I might have gotten this in the late 90s. You can see a crease up there in the corner, but you can see, I think there's definitely some color touch in the black. I think there is even some, there might be some pieces added. But it is a glorious looking book. That black cover, really nice looking. Then there's issue number 8. This is probably the lowest grade I have of the 14. The dummy is one of their foes that they faced in issue 1, and he comes back in this one. So Leading Comics number 8. Number 9 is in pretty good shape, other than that kind of, I think that's maybe some rust up at the top, some staining. But other than that, that book is really in nice shape. Really in nice shape. Leading Comics 9. Spine looks really nice. Number 10. This is kind of a goofy cover. I'm not sure. A guy with a coconut on his head. King of the 100 Isles. And this followed pretty much the same formula as All-Star Comics. And usually what they would do is they would kind of partner up, and sometimes they'd switch sidekicks. So like, Stripesy would go with Speedy and Star Spangled Kid with Green Arrow or something like that. And so they'd have a thing where they'd have this problem. They'd have to split up into groups. They'd go off in groups, individual chapters for those, and then come back at the end to solve the problem. Here, issue number 11 with the hat, hard luck hat. This is one of the sillier covers. A little bit of dust shadow there. But that is number 11. Another yellow cover, number 12. Here, just the 5 main characters made the cover. issue number 13 with some robots on the cover. And here's my Terrificon acquisition, Leading Comics number 14. Has a store stamp on there. It's hard to see exactly what it says because it's kind of blue on blue. I can't really tell. But the vendor had a grade as a 4.5. I think that's a pretty fair grade. A little bit of a rip up at the top. So that was the last issue of Leading Comics in which the Seven Soldiers of Victory would appear. The book became a funny animal book after that. At one point, it debuted the character Peter Porkchops, and eventually, later on in the run, became Leading Screen Comics. But those 14 issues are the 14 issues with the Seven Soldiers of Victory. The next time we saw them was in the Justice League of America 102. There was an unpublished script that survived from the 1940s that DC serialized in Adventure Comics in the 1970s, mid-70s, after the Justice League appearance with modern artists like Dick Dillon and I think Jose Luis Garcia Lopez and some others. And that was essentially it. The characters went their separate ways. Obviously, Green Arrow and Speedy were rather redundant because those characters existed on Earth 1 as well as on Earth 2. So really the only other time we saw them was in Crisis on Infinite Earths. And probably the one character that's had the biggest legs. Now, Star Spangled Kid did, in the 1970s, join the Justice Society in All-Star Comics 58 and became a member of that team through the 70s, and then Infinity Inc. in the 1980s. And then the character that's had the most legs, really, is Stripesy, who became part of the Stargirl, Stars, and Stripe series and is a major character on a television series right now. So that's my run of Leading Comics. Really happy to show that off. So excited to have the complete run in my possession. Now, here's the thing. When you collect a run, it's never done because there's always the upgrade. Now, the other plan I do have for this, which is a little bit crazy, is to get... There are 5 books that contain the first appearances of each of these characters. Star Spangled Comics number 1 has the first appearance of Star Spangled Kid and Stripesy. That is a fairly expensive book, but not crazy expensive. And then the Shining Knight, I believe, his first appearance is in Adventure Comics 66, which is... average Golden Age, early Golden Age book. Vigilante, his first appearance is in Action Comics 42. That a mid-grader is probably in the $500 to $1,000 range. So, lower grade you can get for several hundred. It's more expensive because it's a Superman Golden Age book. And then the 2 ones that are really difficult to get is the first appearance of Green Arrow and Speedy is a huge key. It's More Fun Comics number 73 because it's not only the first appearance of those 2 characters, it's also, coincidentally, the first appearance of Aquaman. So that book is, even in low grade, like $15,000 to $20,000. That's a big, big key. That would be the toughest one to get. That's one of my ultimate grails, along probably with Batman number 1. And then the other book that is really going to be difficult to get is the first appearance of the Crimson Avenger, which is Detective Comics number 20. That's probably in the $1,000 to $2,000 range. However, it's also the first appearance of Wing. However, Detective Comics number 20 is from 1938. It came out 7 issues before the first appearance of Batman in the Detective Comics title. So it's a very rare book. That's something I'm going to have to target and see when it comes up, if I can find it. That's going to be difficult. The other question I have, and I'll leave the comments below, should I grade the other 12 issues? Should I have all the comics graded? Which would make it easier to upgrade, because if I just see one for a higher grade, I can replace it. I'm not in a rush to upgrade on these books right now, but for some of the lower grade ones, if I see a better raw copy, maybe I could do something like that. That's something I'm going to consider. I don't know how many people own a complete 14-issue collection of the leading comics with the Seven Soldier Victory. I'm pretty sure Mark Waid does. Probably Roy Thomas too, right? And probably there are collectors. The dealer I got issue 14 from said he had bought it in a collection where the guy had the whole run. So there was somebody that used to have the whole run. And anyway, should I get them all slabbed up? I'm pretty sure that at least one of them is going to come back as restored. I'm okay with that. It's a Golden Age book. Whatever. I'm not looking to flip these books. These are books to hold on to. So in the comments below, let me know what you think. What is the oldest run that you have? Let me know that in the comments below too. So in the meantime, you can take a look at a couple of my other videos here. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.